Testing. Chapter 1. The Voyage. Wakey, wakey, you scurvy dog. Arksad groggily opened his eyes. Blinking through his blurred vision, he saw bars of a jail cell. He stumbled to his feet only to immediately fall back down to his knees. He crawled over to a bucket and retched as nausea overcame him. Where am I? He mumbled. You're aboard His Majesty's ship, the Swan Road. Arksad peered through the bars to behold a short, squat man with a potbelly, dressed in the typical attire of a sailor. What? You have a choice to make, Arksad Brannock, said another voice. It was deep and authoritative. Arksad looked at this new speaker, a tall man dressed in the sumptuous uniform of the Royal Navy. He gave a sigh. Lieutenant Chambers. Aye, and you may not remember any of this, but you were found at a local tavern lying in a drunken stupor, surrounded by a pile of corpses which you, no doubt, helped create. That was quite a brawl. Arksad grinned as he shook his head. I didn't want the fight, it was foisted on me. I just figured if the world was ending, I'd see it done with wine, women, and song. The lieutenant continued. Apparently, you had enough sense left in your wine-addled brain to at least spike the corpses' heads before you passed out. Otherwise, you would have ended up stumbling around gnawing on townsfolk yourself. Arksad grunted. Since you serve at the king's pleasure as a mercenary, and you obviously have a penchant for killing, His Majesty has a new mission for you. Should you accomplish it, he will reward you well. A mission? At sea? I'm no sailor. I'm better fit for horse and tackle than rigging. We are going to the kingdom of Middlewex. What? Why? Come meet your new compatriots, and I will explain. The jailer opened the cell. Arksad stumbled out, washed his face in a bucket of seawater, blew his nose, and turned to the lieutenant. Fine, I'm game. Doesn't matter where I sell my sword as long as I get paid. And what the heck, the world's about to expire anyway. Might as well go out with a bang, he grinned. The lieutenant, accompanied by two Marines to ensure the mercenaries' good behavior, led Arksad into another room within the belly of the ship. It was the ship's galley. A group of people was seated at a table eating gruel served by a squat, heavy-set man with a peg leg. Got you another mouth to feed, churl, said Lieutenant Chambers. Aye, mate. Have a seat and grab a bowl. I be Churl, the ship's cook, and the greatest sea dog you'll ever meet. Why, I've been at sea so long that mermaids feel more at home on land than I do. Arksad took a seat at the table. The person next to him was a stunningly beautiful woman with deep ebony skin. She was dressed in tight black leathers. He grinned at her beauty, putting on his best hey there look that he could. Don't even think about it, she grunted. Try anything and I'll cut your throat and then spike your brain. Churl chuckled. That's Alricia. You'll have more luck mating with an octopus than that she-witch. She threw a harsh glance at the cook. Alricia Blimpt is the name, to be exact. Arksad raised an eyebrow. I've heard of you. You are well known in the City Thieves Guild. Heard you'd gone honest and now serve in the King's Secret Service. She said nothing in return. Ahem, said a voice at the end of the table. Arksad looked down to see an elderly man dressed in fine robes with a long flowing white beard and bald pate. I am Master Wax, a scholar in service of the king. Allow me to introduce the rest of the group and explain our mission. He pointed to the man sitting next to Alricia. This is His Holiness Damar Sin. Arksad beheld a heavy-set, middle-aged man with a large belly and a bald head. The man smiled warmly at him. May the light of Huar shine upon you, my son. Master Wax continued, and next to me is Axton Smate, a fairly young man with brown hair dressed in simple but fine clothes nodded. I'm here to keep this great man alive, he said, pointing at the scholar. Apparently he is my self-appointed bodyguard, Master Wax grinned. On my left is Mattia Drak of the Peaceful Temple. He inclined his head towards a thin young woman wrapped in brown robes. Her golden hair was cropped close to her head. A quarterstaff rests against the bench next to her. And lastly, next to her is Sir Zan Modric of His Majesty's God. Arksad looked at the young man dressed in very rich clothes. He had long, flowing golden hair and a short goatee that was not quite fully grown in, like a man hoping it will eventually, but may never. Zan frowned at him with disdain. I am not sure why His Majesty deigned to send this thug and commoner with us. It's because, Lieutenant Chambers said, Arksad Brannock is one of the best sellswords in the kingdom. He may be a bit rough around the edges, but he will haul your arse out of the fire in times of need. Arksad surveyed the room and then looked back at Master Wax. Okay, why are we here? Who do we have to kill? Master Wax reached into his robes and pulled out a large stone key and placed it on the table. It was chased with symbols set into the stone that were made of jade. I am a scholar specializing in arcane lore. This is the key of Adelbert. It comes to us from ancient times. The lore states that the dead begin to walk. We are to take this key to the Watchers in the Mist. This is our mission. It is our only hope of stopping this virulent plague about to destroy our civilization. Who are the Watchers in the Mist, and where do we find them? Arksad queried. Well, that's the rub. We don't know. The only thing we know is that legends place them somewhere within the kingdom of Middlewex. Our hope, our last hope, is to go there and learn what we can. But that kingdom has been sealed off from the outside world for centuries, said Mattia Drak. We do not know the lay of the land or even speak the language. That's why the king is sending us, Zan Modric said. He knows that if anyone can accomplish this near impossible goal, it is us. Some of his best, and one besotted drifter who sells his sword to the highest bidder. Oh, let us be civil, Zan, said Damar. The light of Huar shines through us all, just in different ways. But I don't see how this man can be trusted. He has no loyalty to the king. I may have a penchant for the drink, young knight, but I'll guard your back. The king has my sword. Where else am I to go? The world is nearly overrun with the damned dead. Lieutenant Chambers interjected. The captain would like to speak with you all. Once you have finished eating, you will find him above deck. Everyone finished eating in silence, each hoarding their own thoughts. Afterward, they went up onto the deck to discover a sunny, breezy day. The Swan Song was a three-masted sloop. Sailors were scurrying about the decks, working and climbing in the rigging. A tall man dressed in an elegant uniform stood at the side of the ship, looking out over the sea. He turned around. Greetings, he said to the group in a surprisingly high-pitched voice for a man of his height. Beautiful day, isn't it? He didn't pause for them to respond. I am Captain Gurion Nur. A few in the group grunted their greetings. Damar Zin cast an annoyed look at the lot of them and said, Pleased to make your acquaintance, fine sir. It is a beautiful day. Just feel the warmth of Huar soaking into your skin. "Aye," said the captain. "This is indeed a good omen. I am very excited to reach Mittelwex. Ah, to be free of those shamblers! It shall be a joy indeed. I am sure that this mission will come to a speedy conclusion and the world will be set right again." The captain turned to Master Wax. "I have cleared one of the junior officers' quarters for you, sir. You may sleep there on this voyage. The rest of you will be bunked with the sailors." "I will sleep outside Master Wax's door," Axton's mate piped up. "I don't trust all aboard this ship, and his safety is paramount." Mattia eyed the man. "Aren't you the lackey of the high priest Rybart of the Temple of Kor?" "Nay, I am no lackey. I'm his devout protege and personal representative on this quest. He sits on the High Council, you know. He personally tasks me with this man's safety, and I will see to it." A large black man with swirling tattoos over the right side of his face and down the right side of his body approached the captain. "Sir," he said with a deep voice that had a thick accent of the Southlands in it, "we may be headed for a storm, though. See the horizon?" He indicated with the sweep of a massively muscled arm. The captain looked out over the glassy sea. "Yes, Machlon, I see." He turned to the party. "This is Machlon, my navigator." And turning back to the sea, he said, "This ship can handle anything the sea gods can throw at her, though." That night, the Swan Song indeed encountered a terrific storm. Several sailors were lost overboard. By the time the next day came, they were far off course and uncertain of their position. After a few more days and hitting a couple of more storms, they heard a sailor shout, "Land ho!" from the top of the mast. These first 3 chapters comprise our first gaming session. I handed out characters and everyone got acquainted with them. I secretly stacked the deck because Hannah could only play one session as she was heading to New York City for a summer study program in Talmud. We had arranged ahead of time that her character, Axon Smate, would be a traitor. Hannah played it to the hilt, continually going on about how he was Master Wax's guardian. The group bought it hook, line, and sinker. The rest of them were truly random, but it turned out really well. Samuel somehow ended up with the rough and rowdy mercenary, a character that he always plays well. Abby absolutely fell in love with her priest. She got into it so much that she was even reading the Bible between games to get ideas. Jacob and Ashton got females to play, which they enjoyed, and Trevor loved playing his snotty, uppity nobleman. This is the end of chapter 1.